The email's been sent, the door's shut behind you, and somewhere in your chest, a floor you always trusted just dropped clean away. Maybe it came as a phone call, maybe a meeting that was over in 4 minutes. Or maybe you just opened your account, and the number that used to land every month simply wasn't there. However it reached you fast. And now you're standing in the strangest hour there is, the one right after, where the mind starts running, and every road it runs down ends in the same 2 words. What now? Stay in this hour with me for a minute, because I want to walk you through what actually comes next. Not the advice you've already heard 100 times, but what the Quran says really happens in the space right after the floor gives way. There's a sequence to it, see, and most people never reach the second step because the first one swallows them whole. There's a single sentence in a very old book that was put there for exactly the hour you're in right now. Not for someday, no, for tonight. I'm going to give it to you. But not yet, because if I hand it over before you're ready for it, it'll land like some slogan, and you'll have forgotten it by morning. So let's start where you actually are. Because here's the first thing the panic does. It lies to you about the size of what you lost. It tells you the loss is total. It says, that was my income. That was the thing keeping the lights on, feeding the people I love. And now it's gone. So I'm gone. And the mind doesn't whisper that. It shouts it at 3 in the morning in a voice that sounds an awful lot like your own. And here's the strange little mercy hidden inside that shout. It's wrong. Not comfortingly wrong. Precisely wrong. You did lose something real tonight. I won't pretend otherwise. But you did not lose the thing you think you lost. Okay, picture the house you grew up in, or any house at all. Somewhere in the wall, there's a tap. You turn it, water comes. For years, you've turned that tap, and for years, the water has come, and so slowly that you never once decided it. You started to believe the water lived in the tap, that the tap was the source of the water. Then, one morning, you turn it, and nothing comes. The handle just spins, the pipe is dry, and in that moment, it honestly feels as though the water itself has ended. As though somewhere out there in the world, water has simply stopped existing. But you know that's not what happened. No, the tap was never the spring. The tap was only ever the last few inches of a very long journey, a channel the water passed through on its way to you. The spring is still up in the hills, still rising, exactly as full as it was this morning. What broke wasn't the water. What broke was one of the channels it used to reach you. Your income was a tap. The job, the client, the business, these were channels, real ones, useful ones, but not a single one of them was ever your provision. They were the last few inches. And in the 11th chapter of the Quran, Surah Hud, there's a line that names the spring behind all of them. It says, there is no creature that moves upon the earth, not one, whose provision does not rest upon Allah. Not upon the tap, not upon the company that let you go this morning, upon the source, which means the thing that actually feeds you. It didn't resign today. It didn't fold. It hasn't moved a single inch. You lost a channel. What you did not lose was the source. And see, that one correction changes the whole question. If you haven't lost the source, only a channel, then you're not standing at an ending at all. You're standing at the exact place this old book has the most to say about. So, now I can give you that sentence I promised you, the one written for this hour. There's a chapter in the Quran named at-Talaq. the chapter of separation, of things coming apart, of a bond that used to hold and suddenly doesn't. On its surface, it isn't about money at all. And yet, in its second verse, it turns without warning toward everyone whose floor has just dropped. And it says, whoever is mindful of Allah, he will make for him a way out. Just sit with how strange that placement is. Right in the middle of a passage about one of the hardest separations a life can hold, the promise you're given isn't comfort. It isn't patience. It isn't, this too shall pass. The promise is an exit. A way out. And that tells you something the panic will never tell you. That this hour, the one you're sitting in right now, it isn't a dead end that faith is asking you to simply grit your teeth and endure. It's a road with a bend in it, and a bend, by its very nature, has more road on the other side. You just can't see around it yet from where you're sitting. Notice the one condition tucked inside the promise, though. A way out is given to the one who is mindful of Allah. Taqwa, the quiet turning of the heart back toward the source, even while your hands are still shaking. It isn't a fee you pay. It's a direction you face. The verse doesn't say, whoever has savings. It doesn't say, whoever kept a backup plan. It says, whoever keeps facing the source. And to that one, a way out. So what comes next? Actually tonight. I mean, before you sleep. Not a 5-year plan. The panic can't build a 5-year plan. It can barely build the next hour. So build the next hour. First, don't rush past the grief. You lost something real, and pretending you didn't will only push the ache underground where it grows teeth. Name it out loud if you can manage it. Say, what closed? The Quran doesn't scold you for the fear. It meets you right inside it. Then name what did not close. Say that just as plainly. The channel is gone. The source is not. This isn't some trick of cheerful thinking. No, it's you correcting the lie the panic told you about the size of the loss. Then widen your reach. A way out is promised, but honestly, it's rarely waiting in the place you're staring at. The people who come through this are almost never rescued through the same channel they lost. So, look wider than the one that failed. Reach for the person you've been too proud to ask. Try the way that seems unlikely. You're not being desperate here. You're being faithful to a promise that told you the exit is real. And last, ask. Not the resume kind of asking. The other kind. In the dark, with no one watching, ask the source directly, the way you'd ask someone who has never once let the spring run dry. This is the oldest step of all, and it's the one the modern mind skips first, and it's the one that turns a frightened search into something quieter and steadier than the fear. Now, none of this makes the number reappear in your account by morning. I'm not going to insult the hour you're in by pretending that it does. The rent is still real. The fear will still come and visit. But something underneath will have shifted. You'll stop treating a broken tap as the end of all water. And you'll start treating this hour for what the old book says it truly is. Not a wall you've hit, a road that bends. With a way out already promised at the far end of it, even though you can't see that far from where you stand tonight, and you were never asked to see the whole way from the beginning. You were only ever asked to face the right direction and take the next hour. So, the email's been sent, the door's shut. That part hasn't changed, and I'm not going to stand here and tell you it has. You're still in the hour right after. But look again at where you're standing. Behind that shut door was never your water. It was a tap. The spring is still up in the hills. And the chapter of separation still holds its quiet, stubborn promise that for the one who keeps facing the source, a way out is already being made, even now, even in the dark, even before you can see the shape of it. The floor dropped, yes, but you didn't fall out of the world. You fell into the very hour this whole book was written for. Take the next hour. The way out is already looking for you.